All right, so I'm going to go over just a little bit of what we just talked about because it ties into how we've been doing the narratives, which is we talked about the previous day's narrative and then we go into the next day's narrative, right? So what we talked about was um, Asia and London dropping, failing to take this low and taking out previous day, right? Well, yesterday was Jimmy Carter's. They're paying respect to Jimmy Carter, so the market closed early, so we just kind of chopped around all day. But today we have basically the same analysis, right? We're looking for the market to continue bullish action because of this low that was printed that we talked about on Wednesday. So if we go to the 1 day, right, and this is where we caught the anticipation of the reversal, right? This is where we talked about that pattern where we had the low created, then we had the lowest low created, then this low was printed. Remember, this is Wednesday, this is yesterday, Jimmy Carter day, this is today. So if we look at the three lows that were just put in, these three, we still never took out this low here. This is what we anticipated price to do, right? We anticipated price to drop here on Wednesday and then to do what? To shift structure. And our draw on liquidity was going to be this high, or it was going to be the previous day equilibrium, right? Which is this bad boy, previous day high. These were going to be our targets. We're still in that same range. We're still in that same analysis, right? We have not yet broken this low, which I believe is the low that's going to be our bullish and bearish trigger going into tomorrow. If we break this low, which is, I think it's like 167 or 166, if we break this low, this is where I'm looking for what? This is where I'm looking for shorts. If we fail to break that low during London, then I'm looking for longs. And when NFP happens, right, since I believe this is a very important structure point in the market, when NFP happens, just like FOMC, I mentioned if we're bullish or bearish, if we're over or under the level, then I think NFP is going to continue that price action. It's going to continue that structure. So as we create this curve, which is what I believe is happening, as we create this curve, I believe that if we stay above NFP, will offer some type of retracement and then a nice big ramp, right? If we continue to drop overnight with London and we take this low, more importantly this low, I think will come down and NFP will do what? NFP will offer some type of retracement and then more bearish price action. So going into tomorrow, right, we have our bullish and bias triggered, right? If we're bullish above 167, we're bearish below 167 because it's that low that was printed on Wednesday. Again, that I believe is going to be the shift in this order flow to go from bearish to bullish. So if we go to the 1 day, we'll do what we always do, right? We're going to map out the previous day's array, which is this bad boy, right? This is the previous day's array. This is what I believe we're trading in right now. We've already tapped out into what? We've already tapped down into external range, and now we're trading above equilibrium, right? Which leads me to believe what? We're now in a bullish zone or bullish price action, and it's possible for us to hit that 450 level and to possibly continue higher into this array, here. So remember, once we break out, then I believe what? We're trading into the next array. So as we broke out of this array, I believe we're trading now into this array here, right? We've broken back into the array and now we can see where we're trading, right? We're still underneath equilibrium of what? Of the range we tapped into. So we've taken out south side liquidity, right? External liquidity down here. If we do continue higher from the exact point that we're at, we are going to do what? I think we take the high of yesterday and then we come up and we attack this high. After that, what array would we be trading in, right? Then we would be trading in this daily candles array. Where our next TP would be what? Our next TP after we break this high and this high would be equilibrium, which is right here at 544. And if we stay above 167, right? And we do drop down, we have what? We have this array, right? The top of it to use as support. We have this array to use as support. And then we finally have the low of this candle to use as a very final support. If we believe NFP is going to rally, then I believe we'll get a short drop before a nice rally for NFP. So let's go back to our arrays that we have mapped out. So we have our daily array. We'll go to the 4 hour, right? Oops, that's the 4 minute. We'll go to the 4 hour and we'll look at what we think is going to help hold price up, right? So remember, I like to use 4 hour fair value gaps, or we can use 4 hour order blocks, right? We can use a 4 hour breaker block. But more importantly, I really like the 4 hour fair value gaps. So if we look, what do we have here, right? We have bullish price, a down close, bullish price. Whenever you see something like this right here, right? We have bullish price and then a down close and bullish price. These are called I think they're called like dead man zones, or they're called dead zones. I'll look it up right now when we're done with the analysis. I think they're called like dead zones, or they're called like, I think it's a dead zone. We'll look it up. But these ones are little tiny order blocks on lower time frames, because we've created the high, and then when we opened, we traded away from the high, right? We traded into that order block. So these little tiny opposite colored candles on the way up or on the way down, right? These are order blocks. These little ones are order blocks. And when we trade and we look at the order block mapped out, we can see what happens when we tap that order block, right? Like this one is a great example, right? We tap the 50% of that order block and we drop. And then when we open the next candle, what do? We created a low before taking out that order block. And then we use that order block as what? As support before doing what? Trading lower into it. So this is a nice little order block on the way down, right? Again, if we look here, this is a nice little order block on the way up, right? So if we map this one out, right, this little candle body, or if we do the whole range, since the body is really low, we can see what happened when we traded back into that order block, right? The high and the low of the candle. As we traded into the order block, right, we did what? We respected the 50%, closed underneath it, failed to close above the 50%, where we finally dropped, right? And then we dropped more and more and more and more. So what do we have again as we're looking at price? What do we have here to the left that looks like it's supporting us, right? What does it look like we're getting supported by? This little order block right here. So it's got a little tiny body, so I want to use the whole candle because it's got a low body. And more importantly, look at where the 50% lays. Really close to what? Really close to our discount, which we already tapped into, right? This candle right here is actually part of today, and we've already traded into this orb or into this order block, but we never closed above it, right? We keep dancing on what we found, what we're dancing on for our order block. So I would like this order block, even though we traded into it a couple times, I would like this order block to continue to hold price. So if we fail below this price, right, then we fail below what? 167 or whatever this low is, 165, 166. If we trade under the orb, under the low, right, we close under the 50%, then I'm looking to monitor price within this small range. And if we break below it, I'm looking for shorts, targeting the lows. So that would be our reason to keep price above water, right? Keep our head above water. Now, if we look at the 1 hour to see if there's anything that can stop us, what can stop us from going higher, right? There's just all this nasty liquidity down here, right? Sorry, this time distortion, not liquidity. This is just taking and running, taking everyone's buy stops and sell stops. We're literally just taking everybody and their mama out here. Everyone who's short, we run it the opposite way. Everyone who's long, we break out, we run it the opposite way, right? So on the 1 hour, what looks like a good reason to make us drop, right? We have this wick here, or this equal body high, equal body low, sorry, equal body high here, right? That's a good area for rejection. More importantly, we have banker candles, right? Banker candle here. Remember I talked about the banker candle, which is where we look to offload our position. We create a impulse move up and then down, or an impulse move down and then up, right? So that we can offload our position and then reload, and then we can take it going the opposite way. So we have a banker's candle here. So this is a good reason for us to stay short. And if we map out that banker's candle, which is what? The last up close before the downtrend, or this is a demand or a supply, right? We can see how on the 1 hour, we've already hit the reason to go lower, the 50% of that banker's candle, or the 50% of that order block where at the session high. Not the order block down here, not this candle, right? Not any of these, but more specifically the one that created the high or the low of the session. So we've already hit our reason to go short, and it looks like we've missed our short opportunity. If we would have did our TA earlier, we could have seen this, right? Because Asia opened here and it dumped. If we would have did our analysis, we could have had this mapped out earlier. So we've already hit our reason to go short, and as you can tell, it is or would be playing out. Next, we have the order block, right, that we believe is holding up price, which makes a lot of sense looking at price. When we created this order block, right, we tapped into this one, then we traded back into it, traded below it, traded into it, traded below it, right? So it makes sense that we're chopping in between these two areas. But more importantly, we're chopping at the 50% of this one, but this one we already broke the 50%. So this is what I have going into tomorrow. I would love to see us not take Asia low and trade higher, right? Attacking 450, scenario 1. Scenario 2, right, is we break below 166 and then we keep trading lower. I'm not looking for a turtle soup scenario. I don't think we will soup the highs or the lows of Asia for London. I think London is either going to take the high and run, or it's going to take the low of Asia and hit that pivot point for us where we can look for shorts. Do you guys have any questions? No questions. So the Guam, the last down close of the Asia session is good to use, right? You can use that. If we go to the 5-minute, which is what I like to trade at, right? This is what I had mapped out before we started the recording, was this body of this down close, right? So if we do drop, this would be where I want us to respect. I want us to respect this and go higher. Because we already missed our entry here, which was that order block that we had formed on the 1 hour, right? Let's go back to the 1 hour. Oops. It was the banker's candle, or the supply, or the demand, or whatever you want to call it, right? It was this bad boy here. So we're sandwiching. Let me go to the 2 hour. I can look. This specific candle here, the banker's candle, you want to see as close to equal high or equal open and equal close as possible, right? Like this would be a perfect scenario banker's candle. Yeah, sometimes you have it lower, but like we don't want to see something like this, right? Like that wouldn't be a banker's candle. We're looking to pump our position. Oops. We're looking to pump our position, and then immediately when we open our next candle, right, we're looking to flip or reverse our trade and then catch the next setup. So like this would be a pretty good example of a banker's candle. This one right here would not be, right? Because look at this big giant down close. We didn't really offload anything to go long. It's still a bearish downtrend. But if we come up here, right, and this is the 2 hour, if we come up and we try to find where we offloaded our longs to go short, right, we can see we created a big giant push. And right here, right, this wouldn't be a good area to offload your longs. This would be a good area to offload your longs, right? Here, we have a couple bankers candles right at the top, right? Is where we do what? We pump to offload our longs to flip to short, and then we accumulate, and then we short the market, right? Let's look here. This is a good example of a banker's candle, right? Why? Because look at the equal close, equal open. As we're shorting the market, we did what? We offloaded all our shorts, right? This is where we cause damage to retail traders. We created the giant wick. This is where we offloaded our shorts and flipped to longs. Then we accumulated, and then we pumped the market, right? Here's another good example, right? We pumped the market, offloaded our shorts, or offloaded our longs, flipped to shorts, and then look at what we did. We'll go here, right? Downtrend, offloaded our shorts, flipped to longs, caught all this. Oh, the 1 hour. You said the 2 hour, bro? You said, is that a banker's candle setup for the 2 hours at Asia low? You said the 2 hour. Confusing me, bro. Oh, well, I showed you on the 2 hour. Makes sense. These two right here. Right? You're talking about this here, Mom? Oh, yeah, same thing, right? We offloaded what? We offloaded our shorts, and then we flipped the script to longs, right? So for me, that just adds another confluence that what? We're going to come down and not take the low and go higher. But again, this is our flip zone, right? This is our area where we want to see bullish price, where we want to see bearish price. You can map that out if you want and see how we respect it tonight. But this is what my eyes were drawn to. They were drawn to this 1 hour supply or demand or banker's candle or order block or breaker block or whatever you want to call it. I was drawn to this specific candle because it was what created the high, and it's what we respected, and it's what kept price down. So we are looking to accumulate a little more, right? Which, I mean, it's Asia. We like to accumulate during Asia. But this is, yeah, like I said, this is what I would like to see going into tomorrow. We fail to take the low, right? And we go higher. Cool. If you guys have no questions, I'll go ahead and stop.